Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into the mechanics and, yeah, a little bit of the advanced math of sizing your solar panels perfectly to your battery. You know, if you've ever wondered exactly how much solar power you really need, or say why some off-grid setups take literally days to recharge while others are totally topped off before noon, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to look closely at the data from the Solar Circuit 360 guide to help you build a system that charges super efficiently without ever harming your gear.
So can a massive solar array actually damage a tiny battery? We're coming right out of the gate with this one because we really need to bust a super pervasive internet myth. A lot of folks think, hey, if I just throw way more wattage at this battery, my problems are totally solved. It'll just charge faster. But as we're going to see, treating solar design like a brute force calculation, it's not just inefficient, it can actually be downright dangerous.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the solar sizing myth, then walk through the 4 essential formulas, break down some real-world efficiency losses, uncover those hidden safety risks, and finally, wrap it up by designing your complete system. All right, part 1, the solar sizing myth. Let's dismantle the absolute biggest trap DIY off-grid builders fall into.
If you poke around online, you'll see this common advice telling you to just divide your battery's amp hours by your panel's watts. You know, grab a 100-watt panel, hook it up to a 100 amp hour battery, and call it a day. But wow, does that oversimplify the whole problem? It completely ignores absolutely critical stuff like charging current limits, bad weather, and the specific chemistry of your battery.
The reality is, a proper solar setup isn't just 2 pieces. It's a 4-part chain. You've got your solar panels feeding the controller charging the battery, and then the battery powering your actual loads. The absolute golden rule here, panels must never, ever connect directly to batteries. Actually, getting all 4 of these links to play nicely together is what creates a system you can actually rely on.
Moving on to part 2, the 4 solar formulas. Don't worry, this is the math you actually need, and we're going to keep it super simple.
First up, we got to figure out exactly how much energy needs to be replaced in your setup. We measure this in watt-hours. To get that, your battery's energy is just its voltage multiplied by its amp hours. Basically, think of watt-hours as the actual physical size of your energy bucket, right? You really can't properly size your solar panels until you know exactly how big the bucket is that you're trying to fill.
To put that into perspective, let's apply it to a standard 100 amp hour battery. You instantly see a massive difference depending on the voltage. A 12-volt system holds 1,200 watt-hours of energy, right? But a 24-volt system stores 2,400 watt-hours. It is literally twice the energy. So larger or higher voltage batteries are obviously going to require significantly more daily solar production to actually refill.
That brings us right to Formula 2, which calculates the energy actually coming in. Now this one shows us that daily energy production relies heavily on your specific location's peak sun hours, not just whatever wattage rating is stamped on the back of your panel. Peak sun hours are the real secret sauce. They dictate the total energy you can genuinely harvest on a given day. Let's run some quick numbers on that. Say you've got a 400-watt array and your specific geographic spot gets 5 peak sun hours a day. Just multiply 400 by 5. Bam! That gives you a theoretical 2,000 watt-hours of available energy every single day. But remember, that's just the theoretical energy available before we account for real-world system losses, which we'll jump into in just a sec. Okay, Formula 3. This is where we calculate the charging current. And honestly, this is probably the single most critical step for system safety. Current equals your power divided by your battery voltage. This current is the stuff being regulated by your charge controller. Knowing this exact number is your golden ticket to preventing catastrophic battery damage.
Let's see what happens under perfect conditions with our 400-watt example. That same array is going to try to shove roughly 33 amps of charging current right into a 12-volt battery. We get that just by dividing 400 watts by 12 volts. Now listen, 33 amps is a really serious amount of electrical current. And as we'll see very shortly, it's your battery's chemistry that actually dictates whether it can safely absorb all that power at once.
Our 4th and final formula basically just mashes up our previous math to estimate how long it'll theoretically take to totally top off your battery. You just take your total battery watt-hours from our first formula and divide it by your daily solar watt-hours from Formula 2. So in theory, if we divide a 1,200 watt-hour battery by those 2,000 watt-hours of daily solar we calculated earlier, it takes about 0.6 days to fully recharge. Less than a day. Sounds amazing on paper, right? But, and this is a massive but, batteries and solar panels are absolutely never 100% efficient. Which leads us right into part 3,
Real-world efficiency losses. Let's look at why theory just isn't reality out in the wild.
All of those real-world variables are exactly why good system design always requires a built-in safety margin. A 400-watt panel basically never produces 400 continuous watts all day long. Heavy clouds, extreme summer heat, a layer of dirt, suboptimal panel angles, or even just partial shading, all of that is going to drastically reduce your actual charging energy. Real output is almost always significantly lower than what's printed on the box.
All right, part 4. Hidden safety risks. We really need to look at the actual physical dangers to your gear if you get this math wrong.
Remember those 33 amps of charging current we calculated a minute ago? Well, notice the stark contrast in how different battery chemistries handle that exact same load. Like we said, faster is definitely not always better. Lead-acid batteries, they have super strict charging rates. Hit them with too much current and they'll quickly overheat. Lithium iron phosphate batteries are much tougher and accept higher currents, but even they are limited by their internal battery management system. You absolutely must match your solar array to the manufacturer's safe limits.
Because honestly, both extremes are going to end up destroying your investment. Undersize your panels and you get chronic undercharging and permanent capacity loss. Oversize your array and you're pushing excessive current and generating way too much heat. Finding that perfect Goldilocks zone for your specific battery type is absolutely critical. Finally, part 5, designing your complete system. Let's put this all together safely for your next off-grid project.
Look, even if your panel and battery math is literally flawless, your system can still be super dangerous if you completely ignore the connective tissue. Failing to size your wires correctly causes voltage drops and some seriously scary heat buildup. Exceeding your charge controller's limits, that can just flat out fry your equipment. So always install proper fuses, use DC disconnects, double-check that your wires are actually thick enough for the current we calculated, and guarantee your MPPT controller is properly rated. High-current DC systems can generate dangerous electrical arcs if you cut corners here.
It really comes down to this. A safe system is always better than a fast system. Sizing your gear correctly isn't about bragging rights over charging speeds. It's entirely about stability, longevity, and above all else, safety.
So, now that you're armed with the systems approach, I'd love to hear how you're putting this all into practice. What battery size and solar panel combo are you using right now? Drop your battery voltage, amp hours, and panel wattage in the comments below. Let's compare designs, run the math together, and make sure we're all avoiding those common sizing mistakes. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep on learning.